Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashraf. I work as a cloud engineering lead for 11 engineers in 2 teams, and I work in legal and general, which is a financial services. Um, and that forced me. It's very like compliant and regulated industry, and then forced by this whole presentation. So I couldn't come up with the best title, so I put lots of title and subtitle like I like terminal and how did I end up building MCPs and also like AI platform. Similarly, another one was wishful thinking, like, oh, I wish I wanted that, I wanted to have that, how can I build that? So these are the things, and I ended up building like now 49 plus MCP servers, and another of the biggest issues is hallucinations. So I was trying to tackle that with zero cost, basically not trying to switch between many AI licenses. So I currently, before I had GitHub Copilot and Amazon QCLI, GitHub Copilot was brilliant. Then Amazon QCLI when Amazon Q was Code Whisperer, but at one point it's like they started giving more users limit. I think now it's like 300 requests, something like that. It's mostly chat based, and recently they had GitHub CLI, but it's not that brilliant. Then I discovered Amazon Q have launched their Amazon Q CLI, which at that point was unlimited use. I think at this point it's like 1,000 requests, and they have Claude 4 and 4.5. And I tried to extend it as much as possible because I like terminal. I don't want to go to chat or web, so I can integrate that in my VS Code.
Excuse me, there's a very small script, and here there's practically nothing can be read. Could you just expand a little bit what's in the red and what's in the green?
Yeah. Is it good? Yeah. Oh. So, yeah, I'll come back to the presentation. The presentation is like very childish, right? The thing is Amazon QCLI. So, QCLI is a CLI, so it's in the terminal, unlike like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot, which has VS Code extension, you can chat. And it also has agentic codings and edit options, but it's not that brilliant. With terminal, it's more brilliant. I'll go back to the demos later on. So the game changing discovery in my Amazon QCLI journey was MCP. When MCP launched from Anthropic side, I was like, yes, I have Amazon QCLI, but how can I make it more powerful? Like, can it talk to my file system in my laptop, or can it browse AWS resources that I have, or can I use live documentations? So this kind of things, and then I found MCP. Okay, now the thing is I'm in a regulated industry and I cannot install lots of MCP servers. So I was like, okay, let me try building my own MCP server. How hard it can be. Then I tried building Amazon Q and MCPs with Amazon Q, and then I realized, oh, I can build more MCPs. Why not? And so then at that point, it just started become like wishful thinking. Okay, I see there is MCP for AWS documentation, but I can install that. Let's build that MCP with Python. Similar like that. Now, with MCP, I believe most of you are quite familiar with MCP, but still I put that there. Like it's a model context protocol. It's a protocol for your model to talk to applications or services, web services. It can talk to Slack, Gmail, AWS, or documentations, or like Brave Web Search, any kind of things. It can literally, it's like a plugin. You can plug to everything on the internet it can communicate to. So it helps your model to have much more wider context and much more things to interact rather than just relying on its training data. So then when I realized MCP, so like before MCP, I could say, okay, what are the files in my project, or like, can you help me troubleshooting a system that's running on a service running on my system? It can't. It cannot look in my, like in my terminal or in my system. But once I had MCP, I asked, okay, what are the files in my projects? Can you, like go through the files or help me to understand the project? Then it can actually go and discover my file systems. So with MCP, I think my model now has, like say, eyes. It can look into like further distances. Also memory, I have kind of bumped it up its memory. Also hands, it can do much more things than Amazon Q or GitHub CLI or any other tools has kind of envisioned for. So the building is free. Yes, I have Amazon Q. I have then Amazon Q CLI, then MCP, the building speed. So I was like sitting on a weekend on my own call on a standby. I was bored. So I was trying to try these CLI, I think Warp AI CLI, something like that, and terminals, but it's blocked in my corporate firewall. And if I want to try it, or item, I have to go through like IT 6 month process of submitting lots of paperwork. Oh, why I want it. I was like, okay, why not just try to build a terminal? But the thing is, I don't know Swift, not even a single line, not even to this day. But I have Amazon Q, so why not try to build a terminal? So I tried building a terminal, one of my custom terminal in Swift. Now the thing is, before Amazon Q or Agentic coding or any kind of things, I have to learn Swift, then learn macOS development, then how I can write, then try to test it, then deploy it. I think it's like 3 to 6 months of process. With Amazon Q CLI, I tried building a terminal. The first one was in 8 minutes. Of course, then it took lots of learning, testing, and everything. But it fast-tracked my dream of building my own terminal the way I want it. Then, at one point, I saw ChatGPT. They launched their browser, also Perplexity. Like, okay, it can go and book a table for you in the restaurant, or it can book a flight for you. Now, the thing is, I already have GitHub Copilot, Amazon Q, Gemini CLI. How more license I'm going to buy? Not anymore. So, why not just try to build my own agentic browser, kind of? So, AI agents, they are your own butlers, right? You're like, okay, do that for me, and they go in the background and they do that thing, right? So my point was, okay, I'm not going to pay $200 for ChatGPT or Claude or any other thing that comes in my way. I'm just going to build it. And it provided me customization possibilities to the infinity, I would say. So one of my goals was, okay, I travel a lot. Why not I try to book flights with Amazon Q, and can it really go through my browser like I saw in the ChatGPT one or the Perplexity one? So I built my own browser automation with Playwright MCP server. So in the Playwright MCP server, as you can see that, I mean, what is Playwright? Playwright is basically, it helps you to interact with your browser. It can navigate through browser, fill in forms, take a screenshot or a snapshot of your browser, what's in there, then move to the next steps. As you can see in the Amazon Q CLI, if I ask, okay, find flights for me from London to Dubai, under 500 quid. And it goes, okay, it opens browser and navigates to flight bookings, try to find a flight and sorts out. Lovely. But then, now the thing is, yes, I was doing all of this, building my terminal, building, like browser automation. Now there is this memory problem. When Amazon Q CLI, or most of these agentic coding they have a context window, it goes, and Amazon Q, they used to throw this nice big red standard error output. Okay, you are run out of context window, start a new browser. And I lost all of my sessions, all of my context. And I go every time, have a new session, explain the problem, explain the context again and again and again. I was like, okay, why not I build something to give it kind of a local database where I'm going to put all of my chat in there, and when it needs, it can retrieve it. So I tried building a kind of a solution, persistent memory problem. So that was one of the solution. So before I was, when I was asking, okay, what instance type should I use for deb? Then I had to basically, again, renegotiate with Amazon Q or feedback the context again and again. But with memory now, it can look, okay, what was the chat before in the another session? Okay, these are the things we have discussed before. For deb, we are going to use TT3 macro, and you're going to go from there. So with MCP, as I said, it became kind of wishful thinking. Oh, I wish I had that. Oh, I need that. But now I'm like, okay, I can just build it. And so it was a big mind shift change. I have moved from just focusing on, nitty-gritty coding. I've moved more of a, let's say, technical product manager, like thinking of a bigger problem, how I can solve bigger problems, just rather than thinking of a test case, thinking of a code, thinking of a loop, how I can solve a bigger problem. So another what the issue is, yes, all of us have faced the AI hallucination, right? It says about a library that doesn't exist. It says about a documentation that doesn't exist. Same problem for most of the things. And once it hallucinates, it is just a snowball effect. Even if you try to fix it, on the next line it goes back whatever the wrong library it was referencing to or wrong code base, and it gives snowballing. I was like, okay, now how I can make it trustworthy? There was a couple of the roadblocks. Roadblock one is, even though all of us have latest AI models, but if you search, okay, what's your cutoff date for training? Even though it was released today, cutoff date is maybe December 2024, mid of January, it's not the latest. So how can I get latest data? So one of the way to get latest data is you can use MCP for AWS documentation, Kubernetes documentation, Terraform, likewise any kind of documentation to talk. And then you can set up guardrails like how you really want to operate with MCP or Amazon Q basically. And that was my way to basically zero hallucination. So as I said, like we work in regulated industry, or not even regulated, any engineer, right? If you really want an AI butler, and if you are a co-pilot, you really want someone to have a credibility. If he is an engineer or even AI engineer, and you want to trust his solution, not go for eternal hell of debugging is AI garbage basically. Okay. With basically, as I said, authoritative sources like you plug into AWS documentation MCPs or Kubernetes MCPs, then Brave Search API, it can browser, it can make Brave Search API call, and it can find real-time sources rather than looking is 1 year old training data or 6 months training data. Another thing is, if you remember, there was an Amazon Q vulnerability that someone injected something in their code base, and it can delete you S3 buckets or even like your file systems in lookup. So I was like, okay, so Amazon Q, they have a rules. I'm like, why don't I create some of my rules? Like in AWS, we have lots of guardrails. So why don't I just put kind of similar type of financial regulation guardrails when I'm talking to Amazon Q, like what it can delete, what kind of file system it can look into. So I came out with a year-long, massive, extensive rule of guardrails. So now, if I ask it to, let's say, delete my /etc folder from my root, it will say, no, I'm not going to do that because it's not in my compliance. But if I didn't put that, Amazon Q actually would do that. That's one of the things I like about Amazon Q. It's really wild, and you can jailbreak it. Gemini CLI is never going to do that, but Amazon Q, if you don't put a guardrail like that, that's you, like if you don't ring fence it, it can go wild. It can delete your S3 buckets, your database, even try to delete your root file systems if it can. So we'll go to now live demo, and I think I need a extra hand. Oh, you're right.
All right, need to go on a diet. What do you need?
Yeah, I just need extra hand.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Boring your hand. Yeah, nothing much. Yeah, before I came here, actually, I didn't anticipate I tried everything, but I didn't test Wi-Fi after I came. So before I go to my demo, one of the quite funny thing, if you take a look at, it's not a PPT slide, it's HTML. So the thing is, I didn't build this presentation or didn't create or do nothing for this presentation basically. I had this whole, my repo where I was building locally everything for all of these things I've talked. And I was like, okay, but Amazon Key cannot build a presentation. It cannot go slides. I'm like, okay, it can then build HTML and CSS, right? So why not I just ask it, okay, this is my whole development journey in this folder. Look at my commit message and everything. Build me a slide on top of that. And that's what it is. And that's why this slide is in HTML. It's not in the PPT slide. And yes, sorry.
Sorry, I'll
Yeah.
sort that out now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
So yeah, one of the things, as I said, very initial thing that prompted my building spree is a custom terminal. So I was like, okay, let me build a custom terminal. And even though it's not a full-blown terminal, it has now very simple basic commands like a date and these kind of ones. And I didn't kind of endeavor on the journey building it a competitive terminal to item. I moved on to the next projects. But that was the kind of stepping stone of trying, okay, can I build new things? So I'm not going to go and more in details with the terminal. As you can see, it's a custom terminal, built my Amazon queue, and I just wrote wrote the test case. Actually, I gave the idea for the test case. Okay, what are the functionalities I want? Write a test case and do a test-driven development. So it built its own terminal. And second thing is, I think I need to, let me, so that's Amazon Q chat side. If you haven't used that, it's brilliant, better than I would say GitHub Copilot one, but I still like terminal because, I mean, when you say, okay, I want to be a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, what do you want to learn first? Linux. And you live and breathe terminal, so I'm like, I'm not going to chat Windows, I'm going to stick to my terminal. So I'll try to go for a flight booking demo. Hopefully internet will help me. Let's see. And as I don't need to spend so much time, I already wrote my prompts. I think, I don't want to make you tired. No, why is okay? Let's see. It's better with Google Flights. So the thing is, Amazon Q, as I said, it can be very wild. So normally you don't need to interact with Amazon Q. It can literally go by itself as long as the task is not complete. But I have put a lot of guardrails, and that has put guardrails in all of my demos. Now I need to interact with Amazon Q, literally help it, not help it, basically allow it to do steps. So I'm going to have a split window. Let me give a minute. Yeah. So I'm going to trust its actions. So as you can see, it's using Playwright, and it's trying to see, okay, it has inputted London as a destination. Now it's looking at the, it is making, okay. So it's trying to now set a destinations. It's looking for all the airports in Dubai, and so as it has automatically looked for the main city option, which is much more closer, and it has selected that. And I said 6 January to 10 January. I didn't say which year. It can be 2025. It can hallucinate, right? But it figures out that we are already in 2025 November, so it looks for the next year automatically. It didn't mention in here, but when I was doing that initially, it mentioned, oh, we are in 2025 November, so let me look for 2026.
You mentioned that the questions are welcome during presentation.
Sorry?
Are questions allowed during your presentation?
You can, or after the presentation also, but you can basically, it's going to take time, of course.
I've got a very quick question. With this delay, it literally munches in front of me. So someone like Skyscan, I've been to their presentation, they also try to use Agentic AI. This is unacceptable. You have no chance of competing with that. The result would be under 3-4 seconds.
Okay, that's interesting. But this one, before, as I was saying, because recently I have put lots of guardrails, that's why it keeps asking me about, like giving the trust permission. Normally you don't need to, set T and allow. It just goes click, click, click. It sets everything and goes to your cheapest flight and takes it to the booking information. You need to input your.
So it is AWS, and it's a big name out there, and they have all the capacity in the world to produce the data you need. My question, I don't want to overwhelm everyone, but the sheer speed they come up with an answer is so great if by comparison is that AI is actually a supplementary tool for them. So they use a hard-coded logic, which they've been using for 15 odd years. And AI is there to check for crazy things, like something which pops out of nowhere. So is this something which you would pose as a competitor to this type of product?
So none of these are like a business use case or final product. This presentation's idea is more of a food for thought for engineers, like giving you like what I say, starting a discussion, like opening your mind, like you can go beyond your boundaries. When you handle limited, you can build your own things. So this is not like a business use case or like full-blown solution. It's more of a lot of half-baked solutions, but it's like broaden your horizon and how you can jailbreak your thinking and also jailbreak Amazon Q. That's the goal, honestly.
Can I?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I add something?
Yeah.
Like, for me, like the power with Playwright here, like I use it loads because often you get these assistants to develop some front-end code for you, but it forgets to add an action to a button. Like the button's there, you click the button, it doesn't do anything. So with Playwright, you just insist on like, don't tell me you're done until you've actually tested the UI. So I guess the flight booking thing is just one example.
Yep.
But the power really is like any arbitrary web interface with Playwright, your coding assistant can now access that web interface and you can use it for validation. You could maybe use it for an automation. Like if you've got a system, we've got a system, an HR system that doesn't have any APIs, but we want to put some files in it. It's like, okay, we can get a human to do that, or we can like kind of do this RPA type thing, I guess. In the old days, we would have done, call this an RPA use case. And now you quite easily get an agent to do the same thing. Sorry to.
Yeah, nice. No, thank you. Yep, as I mentioned, like none of these solutions are like competing with the market or building a product for your company or something like that. It's just, you see a problem as an engineer, what can you think, if you can go beyond you writing code. So another of the issue, as I mentioned, was like memory problem. Like it was erroring out, then context window and all these kind of things. Now they compact actually context window, as you can see, like it's trying to compact and summarize, but couple of months back, Amazon Q and summarize, it will just end your session. You have to have a new session. So I came up with thinking like, okay, how can I store my sessions and how can I retrieve the sessions? Like what kind of knowledge graph I can use? So then I came up with the thought that, okay, it's going on now. But I think you get the gist of the this part of the demo, that it goes and next steps, and as Martin mentioned that you can do for a lot of things. He used it for finding best insurance. You just ask browser to do all the steps. And now I can focus on the next step basically.
2 out of 3 organizers.
Yeah, they will so far.
Good.
I'm going to drop that before I kick out the power supply.
So a lot of times I just talk to it like quite a bit of a humanoid way, like what kind of memory solution do I have, explain me the architecture, these kind of things. So if you take a look now, right, so I have tried to expand what it can memorize. So I have built a knowledge base where it automatically takes all the chats and store it in the knowledge base, and then conversation management, it kind of does splicing the context and adds weight based on the importance of the context. If you're just talking about a flight or you're talking about like critical AWS system, so based on that it adds weight to like 2.5 or 0.8, this kind of OS. And then it also create a to-do list. Then at the end, if you are having a new session, it try to see, okay, like we mentioned, what kind of let's say EC2 instance I was supposed to use on my dev instance according to my documentation. It goes, dev and AWS and EC2 instance, and it tries to find, before we talk about T3 micro, then it's going to give you the context rather than you are trying to give it context every time. So that was the point of session injection or session context. And sure. Okay, there was a lot of typo, but I hope it will get it.
Could I ask a question while waiting?
Yeah.
I'm curious if you experimented with MCP orchestration, because with the advance of MCP registries, and you have more kind of appearing by the day, it's a bit like the NPMs these days. For example, there is an MCP for Google Flights that will use the APIs directly, and that will be more efficient than using the browser.
Yeah.
Have you experimented with something like that and kind of have a bit of an orchestration and then fall back to Playwright if nothing is available?
No, I haven't tried with that. But I have actually tried with having the custom scripts. So there's a script that I didn't trigger, which is basically if I say, okay, get me a flight from London to Dubai, it will, at one point, it will open the browser, open like momondo.com, Skyscanner, Google Flights, 3-4 website, and it will sort out all the ones. But it then becomes kind of a hard-coded approach rather than being flexible with Playwright. I can talk about flights, I can talk about car insurance or any kind of things. So that's what I've tried around. So as you can see here that it was trying to add to memory. It couldn't find our previous conversation that happened in July. But according to the current one that it tried to find, it had put an importance of 2.5 and importance of high, because I think it couldn't find other conversations. But if it was a comparative conversation, like talking about like AWS production instances and talking about flights, then it would add higher words to the AWS discussions rather than the flights. And as you can see, like the importance score, the like more sophisticated or more difficult of a conversation, it as a higher score. On the kind of a general conversation, it as a like a lower weight. So based on that, it decides what is going to inject in the session when you're discussing. And besides that, as I was mentioning now, a root of a lot of my problems in today's demo is that you have seen that it stopped at one point, okay, I'm not going to handle financial information, is these safety guidelines. So in this safety guideline, let me extend that. So as you can see that I have created these massive long ass safety guideline for Amazon Q, because I want it to be reliable. I want it to, give me reliable information or not do things that it's not supposed to do. So if I'm discussing PI, personal information, it's going to use placeholders, or if I'm and like its primary expertise or primary documentation is going to provide, is talking, like I write a Terraform about cloud function a lot. So this is going to be more primary expertise. Then in the response style, a lot of us, that ChatGPT is like a kind of a yes sir. So I was like, I don't want all of this, fluff. Just give me concise and actionable and neutral acknowledgement and these kind of things. Focus on accuracy rather than agreeableness, because in a lot of the chat is just a lot of chat. It's not very concise and it just agrees to you. It doesn't focus on practical information. Now in couple of the AI platform, you can set roles like what is context. But rather than explaining every time, I just created everything at one go, like operational behavior, what kind of, talk like a human, not like a bot, and input style in responses, then what kind of problem I'm solving mostly, then what kind of directories it can access. So you can literally define, okay, you can access these files or not access these ones. So for the sake of this demo, I have tried to allow it in most of my file systems. Normally it's kind of limited. Same, I also kind of tick marked most of these, but normally I'll just go and cross most of this. Like I'll just say, okay, you can read all the file systems, but you cannot move, or you cannot delete these file systems, or you cannot delete my root folders. Same for like commands, what kind of commands this can run, like safety validations, and besides browser automation. So that's basically my focus was, yes, I'm going to use Amazon Q or GitHub Code or Codex or like Cloud Agent, any kind of things. But these rules, Now this is propagated across our organization regardless of what someone is using, because now all these agentic coding, they have a rule section where you can set rules. So I tried to think of a unified kind of a rule framework that we can add and rely on it, that is not gonna hallucinate and not gonna basically delete our production steps. Because I think Repolit, they had an issue with some of the agentic coding that deleted their database and some of this stuff, right? So the thing is, I want to delegate a lot of stuff to it, but the thing is, I don't want it to delete anything. Similarly, as you can see, now I can go whole day, basically, like what kind of things or patterns he shouldn't follow, how he should think. He should think like a principal engineer or like a CTO. Basically, you can put or like a persona you want, but in very detail, and also you can ring fence it. Another quick thing I just showed, then I think, yeah, we are done, is, sorry, let me find my terminal. Also, yeah, about the MCPs, as I said, I built 49 MCPs. The thing is, I don't know how to build MCPs. That's the honest truth. But the thing is, for installing MCPs, you need, like for Amazon MCPs, you need UB package manager. It's not allowed in our IT. So I was like, okay, let me throw to the Amazon queue, I need this MCP, and build a similar one for me. So when you see that, I say queue, and I have a bootstrap script, and it tries to load all the MCPs. So a lot of them are kind of unplugged now, and some of them, they are working, as I've mentioned before. So now, like AWS compliance verification, enhance persistent memory, auto memory, or sequential thinking, always trying to think a problem sequentially in a couple of steps. Or like, as I said, like I can use AWS docs, Kubernetes validations. So you can find MCPs. If you don't have an MCP, you just build your own MCP, that thing you want. I want validation for this, I want validation for that. Just build the MCP server. And this is the last one, Martin, I promise you. Oh my god, okay, whatever it is, I am gonna, oh, not now, come on. Okay, I don't know when I change the priority order. So mostly when I'm asking it a question, I don't want to give it from training data. I want it to look for AWS documentation, Kubernetes documentation, based on the what I'm talking, browse the documentation and give me an answer. If it doesn't find the documentation, then it can use, so it was in my priority 2, web search. So there's web search MCP. It can just look into the web for the latest documentation. And then if it doesn't find, then it can go for its training data, whatever it has in training data. But this is one of the methods that I have adopted to remove hallucinations. Always focusing on, let's say if I want what's in my file system, what's in my AWS resources, I can give it read-only role on my AWS instances, and it can go and look into all kind of resources. So getting the real-time data is the key part of removing hallucination, and you are kind of with the guardrails and safety guidelines, you're enforcing it that it should always look for the real-time data or real-time documentation rather than training data. So that's the end of my demo, and I think we are running out of time, maybe.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Up, yeah.
So as I said, none of these solutions are production ready, or like I'm deploying somewhere. You just think, think how you can go beyond what Amazon Q or Cloud or Codex delivers, and also how you can also think on a bigger problem rather than working on a ticket, working on a test, or working on a for loop. Just think on a bigger problem, right? And a lot of these problems is going to come if you work on a bigger things. Like I was trying to build a lot of things, and I came into this context problem, hallucination problem, session management problem. The more you're going to build on a bigger scale, the more bigger problems you're going to face, and you're going to have your own solutions, own things that you're going to discover. And yeah, that's it basically. It's just more of an invitation for everyone to think, build, and share with everyone. Nothing much here. So these are the like couple of the MCP servers that I was trying to build with the Amazon Q MCP, like web search, Playwright. Couple of those, of course, I used off the shelf. A lot of those I couldn't because of our restrictions. So like memory enhance or like a sequential thinking. Yes, there is sequential thinking, but I tried to make it more robust. And for the zero hallucination, as I said that, like what kind of a strategy it uses? No training data. That's the first rule of the, like having a chat between Amazon Q and me. No point of training data. I want it to use official documentations for everything live. Then like thinking on the financial services or regulations, what kind of things you should do, what kind of things you should protect. That's one of the part. And yeah, that's it. I think, yeah. Any questions?
Any questions?
For the memory storage, are you storing all the users' queries and AI's answer together? And how much is the storage, and
yes,
how
so
long does the AI look through the whole history take?
So yeah, AI can actually answer that for us. So I did a storage calculation. Actually, how much storage is going to be on a 10-year discussion? Let's see. So the Wi-Fi is a bit slow here for me, and I didn't, of course, think of that. And as part of sequential thinking, as you see that I have enforced it, rather than me asking it, okay, use sequential thinking for that. When it is a complex thing, it is a sequential thinking. It enforces itself, and all of these kind of, proactive approaches are put in the safety guidelines. Even this is safety guideline, but it has, okay. And yes, for the very first part of the question is basically, does it store both the AI's part and your part? Yes, it stores both the LLM's part, agent's part, and also your part, because LLM is providing lots of answers, right, for problem solution. So you need both the answers to have a proper context, right? Oh, not the, okay. No, it went on a different dimension. Okay. In between, if anyone has any questions, yeah. Yes.
The responses elicited by the examples you just given must have been retrieving data from a vector store for the right flow.
Sorry, could you come in?
The elicited responses from the models must be drawing data from a vector data store.
Yeah.
Okay, for the right flows that have been experimented upon. Where are they defining the MCP model? I've not seen anything. What are you using as a vector store? That's for the first question. The second question is what frameworks are you using to implement the vectorization for the responses the models are given? Is it bedrock flow, LangChain? It doesn't say anything. All you're doing now is more just giving us an example, but it's not really understanding what's happening behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was trying to use RAG and build its own knowledge graph, and also use a SQLite database to store its sessions, and then use with RAG have a kind of a retrieval of the thinking and the context it had.
Okay, that's fine. But I could have appreciated seeing what is happening behind the scenes rather than just giving me an answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
That would be nice to explain.
So actually, this is today's session is us focusing more on a high level overview on everything. So next session I'm going to go on like more of a deep dive how I built like HTML like these slides. Like also I built diagram with the Amazon Q. So I will go on focusing more on an enhanced database like in depth and other ones. Today I'm just focusing on showing on a high level overview what kind of products or thinking we can think.
Yeah, because in a highly regulated environment,
Yeah.
they would like to see for security reasons for all sorts of things. What is happening in the background? Okay. Rather than just give us the
Yep. Any other questions?
I just wanted to ask, can you get to say, like, look at a GitHub repo you find on the internet, like an app, for example, and just kind of explain it to you, for example, is that kind of functionality built into it, where it can kind of, let's say, scan files within like a repo or something like that?
Sorry, could you say that?
So I was asking about, like, say, can you get this the MCP stuff to explain like what's kind of like the structure of the GitHub repo online, for example?
Yes, so it can actually. So there are two ways, right? One is, of course, you are doing you are cloning all of your repos locally to develop and push, right? So a lot of times, I mean, we have like 60 Terraform modules, which is in another like 30, 40 different repos and these kind of things. A lot of times I don't know this new module that other people are working and I started working and I explain it, that okay, look into this file system. I have a GitHub Enterprise folder where I have all the codes and it looks into the code and explains to me. Another thing is, so that's one of the part I was going to also discuss on next one basically. It cannot directly go to GitHub UI, right? But you can use GitHub CLI command to raise your PR and other things. So I use these days GitHub CLI command. I just say use GitHub CLI command, look into my GitHub actions or GitHub repos or look into my PR, raise a PR. So that was another point I was trying to make. Basically, yes, it doesn't have a lot of built-in things in most of the agentic coding, but you can kind of work around that.
Cool. I think we'll have to call it there. Feel free to grab Ashraf in the break.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.